All right. We are live. Let me bring in my co-host. I don't know how to remove this. Oh, there we go. Here we go. I wanted to try something new. I wanted to just throw in our little logo there I created. So anyways, welcome to Aloha Friday. I'm your host, Shane Austin. I'm here with my co-host, Dave Austin. Aloha Friday, where greatness is made casual. Hey, grab a Mai Tai with us, relax, enjoy the show before you kick off onto your weekend. So,
you may be up front right now, and I may be the backup, but I know how backups become MVPs of the Super Bowl. So watch me shine today, baby.
No backups here. We're all starters. So, with that said, what's your gratitude to start this thing off?
Well, I'm going to start off with I know this sounds, but I just can't wait to hear Rodney. I've known Rodney for a few years. I see Rodney. I'm inspired by Rodney. I'm just grateful to have him here to pick his brains today and hear his wisdom and be excited because I know in getting to know Rodney, he's a cool dude, and I'm grateful that we have him on the show today.
I'm grateful as well, man. There's a lot of things that I'm grateful for. I know we have our Beast Camp in spring training coming up at the end of this month, so I'm definitely grateful for that. Man, I'm grateful as well for Rodney. I mean, this is exciting. I connected with him just a few months ago back in Tampa, and just learning his story was so inspiring, and it definitely hit home for me. Personally, because, anyways, we'll get into that. But I just want to remind everybody, even if you're tuning in live right now with us, or if you're watching the replay, make sure you stick around to the end of the show, because we like to reward those that stick around, and we got plenty of stuff for you. We got our Queek. Remember the quote of the week. If you haven't been following me on Instagram, you get it right here. You get your fix. We get Coach Dave's tip of the day. Tip you can go and carry on through your weekend, through your week. And, I like to throw out some things that I'm currently listening to. I love to listen to a ton of audiobooks, podcasts. We're always growing and educating ourselves, being a sponge. So I'll just share, some of the things I can pass on to you guys right now. And then just maybe some final thoughts before you head off on your weekend. So make sure, stick around to the end, and then we'll, give you those different things. So let's get a review of the week to kick things off. Do you have your review ready, Dave?
I do have a review of the week. What do you know? I'm trying to our cat is looking at you right now. He's over there going, I want some of that. He's trying to figure out how to get to it. So that's why I was a little distracted for a second. This is pretty funny. Anyway, my review comes from, what do you know? My review comes from Hawaii. I love it. Aloha Fridays. We're going to use our first review coming from Hawaii. And this is from Glenn Hong, who's president of the Hawaiian Tug and Barge Corporation, the Young Brothers Limited. And we
got a special guest.
We got a special guest on today. But anyway, so here's the review of the week. Young Brothers worked extensively with Dave Austin and Extreme Focus during the time of the last big recession, and when the shipping company was going through a number of organizational changes, which included several new faces that were relatively new to the industry. We had a great opportunity to knit our team together into an interdependent, there we go, to understand each other and to know how we could count on helping one another. Fortunately, Dave was able to spend time in Hawaii and consult with us individually and collectively. Our corporate retreat was extraordinary, resulting in a new meaning for the young bros. All the executives called them each other bros. And, back then, you weren't able to join us because you were busy being quarterback for University of Hawaii. So, which gave me the opportunity. Huh?
Well, I gotta say, and I do know them personally, but we dive in, as some people know, with our elite, beast training system and our mindset performance things. And we don't do this very often. I think it was probably over a year ago, last time we actually did a webinar where we provided a couple of our, back into our secret vault of tools and principles. But we offered a couple of them for free just to, give back and allow people the chance to understand what some of these mindset principles and triggers and what they can do for you right now in the moment. If you're overwhelmed, if you're stressed, these are something that you can just plug and play, and you turn the key and go. And we're going to give away 2 of those actually this weekend. We're going to do 2 webinars this Sunday and then 1 on Tuesday. So I'll put the link down in the comments below, so you can just click that, especially if you're watching the replay, you can click that link. But until then, I'd love to hear some comments. Anybody just put in Aloha, just type in Aloha if you want that link. We'll send it directly to you to be able to be notified when we go live on that webinar. And we're going to dive into 2 of our principles that we've been using with, successful entrepreneurs, businesses, Army Rangers, Navy SEALs, Olympic athletes. I mean, some of the top performers, and they're flipping over some of these things. So if you jump on and watch with us, you'll be able to take something home with you. You'll come in and then you'll leave with some tools, actionable tools that you can apply today and get going. So
before you go any further, I got to say something. When you just from what you just said, I got to share something with us. So cool. And I don't know if you know this. Did you watch the Olympics at all last night? They have the opening tonight, right?
Opening ceremonies tonight. So I have not tuned in yet.
So listen to this. This is so cool. First of all, in the morning, CNN did this whole special on the Ghana lone bobsledder. Kind of like Cool Running, right? It's happening. Right. He's there. And I had a chance to work with him, and it was a real honor. Then the guys we worked with, they did a whole special last night on the TV of the Army athletes that are there in the bobsled. And we trained those guys, and it was so cool. It showed them out, like in Afghanistan, but then they're in Afghanistan training and that. But they're at the Olympics right now, ready to serve our country in a different capacity, but it's really cool. So some of the stuff that you'll hear in the webinar is going to be what we gave these Olympic athletes that are there now. And it's really cool now that it started to watch these guys that we've worked with and see their stories. It's really awesome.
I love it. Well, let's talk about our guest. We're about to bring in Rodney Flowers. And if anybody follows me on Instagram or even on Facebook, I posted as well just a video a little bit highlighting his story and why I'm so excited to bring him on because, I said his story hits home for me. And for me, my sport's football, and it's a dangerous sport, right? We know the dangers associated with it. We've seen even Shazier from the Steelers this year go down to a bad injury. And Rodney was in high school and was playing, and he got an injury. He couldn't get back up. He didn't know why. He didn't know how. And when he told that story, man, I've never felt so connected to a story because I could literally feel what it felt like to be lying on my back, not knowing how to move at that moment. And it was just like, it gave me chills. And then to, get the news back from, the doctors and stuff that he would be in a wheelchair and he would never be able to basically walk again. And he had a different plan. He had a different, attitude towards the situation. And he was able to stand up. He's now, a 3-time international best-selling author. He's a transformational speaker, and I got to attend one of his workshops. And I'm telling you, man, there's nobody that can motivate you more than Rodney because he's been there. He's lived it. If you feel like you got some things that are tough right now, you take a walk into somebody else's shoes for right now. I'll tell you, Rodney has gone through some of the toughest things to overcome. So he knows a little bit about how to manage resistance and how to really, live into your best version, live the best, be a game changer. So I'm really excited to bring on Rodney, and let's just bring him in now and give him a warm aloha as we welcome in Rodney. Rodney, what's going on, man? It's good to see you.
Hey, there's the man.
Hey, how's it going, Dave? How you doing?
Awesome. Now that you're with us, it's even better.
So
Awesome.
I know I just kind of teased the.
For some reason, I can't hear or see Shane, so I don't know what's going on.
No, you can't see me. How about now? Can you hear me now? Dave, say something so he knows I'm talking.
Hey, can you hear him now?
No.
Can you hear me?
I cannot.
Wow, this is interesting. I got the show, baby. I'm taking over. It's just the energy. I said, man, I want to take over today. And so I'm sure he'll be back after we get all the good stuff done. But
can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. I don't know if Rodney can.
Yeah, I sent him a text. I don't know what's going on. I can't see or hear him.
I can see him and I can hear you, Shane.
Interesting. Well, I guess you're gonna have to lead it, Dave, and maybe I'll just chime in.
Well, maybe we can get a listener out there to pipe in saying, yeah, we can see Shane and we can hear him, because if you can't, Rodney, because I know you can't sit still, I'll pass on what you want to ask. There's a will, there's a way. We'll stand up and shout out anyway, right?
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah, we'll do it.
We use, that's what this whole segment's about anyway. Hopefully, maybe Kathy, she's out there. Let's see. We can see Shane and hear him.
Yeah, for some reason I can't.
All right.
I can't see him or hear him.
Hey, show must go on.
Shane, you were going to start with a question for him. I'll pass it on to him.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask explain the story of his mom and how she really forced him to eat on his own rather than feeding him. He can go into detail, but.
Oh, no, I'm not an interpreter. He wants to know your mom.
There he is.
How about now? You can hear me?
Oh.
Yes, absolutely. What are you doing? Hiding from me, man? What's going on, man?
You know what?
I'm shy.
I haven't taken over, baby.
I see. Yeah,
I'm shy. I was afraid. I was afraid you'd see me, and I'll ask it because I was there at the workshop, and I just kind of teased the story a little bit, but how you had to overcome, just some of those challenges. But the thing that stuck with me is once you finally got back home and you had a great, nice meal prepared for you by your mom, and you got a taste of it, and then she basically said, "All right, if you want to eat it, you gotta eat it on your own." And she left. She left you all by yourself, basically. What was that experience like, and how did that impact you now?
Wow. Well, in the beginning, that experience was horrible, dude. I mean, I had been eating hospital food. I had been eating hospital food for like 6 months, and so to come home and have a great meal like that in front of me was like awesome. And I couldn't feed myself, obviously, but she was doing it, and oh man, it was a wonderful feeling, to be able to partake in a meal like that. And when she got up and left me there all alone with, figuring this thing out, it was like I felt like a stepchild. I felt like, it was cruel. It was cruel, and why would you treat me like that, But at the same time, it taught me a lesson over time that, you have to fight back. You have to put in the work and the effort to accomplish what you want. You have to fight back to resistance. You can't allow resistance to run its course in your life. And it may seem uncomfortable. It may seem unfair at times, but it's necessary if you want to be a game changer, if you want to, overcome the obstacles and the challenges in front of you. You have to fight back. You have to put up some grit. You have to get up, and it's really that game changer mentality that, it started to develop in me. And that's how it affects me today,
So, I mean, if she were to, and the reason I think that story was so great is because if she were to just go ahead and feed you, and you probably would just kind of give into that. But because she forced you to, and that takes a strong woman to be able to, because I know that probably was tough on her to force and see you have to struggle. But because of that struggle, it kind of gave you a little, I mean, I can't speak for you, but I'm willing to bet that as soon as you had that injury and you were told the news that you were told, you wouldn't be able to walk in, you wouldn't be able to do all these different things, I'm sure it wasn't like immediately, okay, I'm going to get up. This is easy. Not this is easy, but like, I'm going to do it. I mean, was there a point after that, when you got the harsh news that, did you go into any kind of, I guess, doubt or disbelief?
Yeah, there was a lot of that, there was no pill, there was no cure. And so basically for about a year, if not longer, I felt like life was over for me, that's the way I was going to be for the rest of my life. And I pretty much had given up, and I was miserable. I was mad at the world. And I just felt like, there was no point in living. I wanted to kill myself, because I felt I didn't have a purpose. I didn't have anything to sink my teeth into, nothing to hold on to. And that was traumatizing for me. And that was one of those experiences where I understood that, life can be unfair. Things don't always happen the way you want them to, right? There's going to be challenges and obstacles in life. And sometimes the only person that can change those challenges and obstacles or allow you to get over them is yourself, And so I had to look inward, had to develop my faith. And, I just had to realize that it's going to be tough sometimes. You have to do some of the tough things, some of the things that you don't want to do, but you're going to have that level of mentality, that level of grit to say, well, if this is what it takes, this is what I have to do. And that's just it.
And I think that's so important for anybody watching, whatever career you're in, whatever profession. We see a lot of times all these successful people and we don't see the behind the scenes. We don't see the struggle that maybe they got there. They just, they've always been successful. It's always been, a breeze, whatever that may be. You might even see Rodney and be like, well, he's walking and all that stuff. But you don't see that, you had a lot of time where you just gave up. You don't see those different things, and you had to transform and become a different person, have a different mindset to be able to overcome that. And through that journey, you've been able to pick up some tools, pick up some winning habits that, helped you get up and, for yourself. But now, just giving it back to other people is like, hey, if you're struggling right now with whatever you're challenged with in this moment, a lot of people, turn to losing hope a little bit too quick, I think, a little bit too easily. And you're a prime example of, just that you can not only manage resistance, but overcome resistance. So I want to talk about resistance and just that idea, because I know one of your big topics is managing resistance.
Well, if I can, I want to touch on something you just said about, a lot of people give up and they may be going through something and they may not have the endurance or know how to hang in there. Right. One of the things that has helped me with that is, taking a look at the alternative. I don't understand why people would give up. For what? Like, what is the alternative? Because wherever you are right now, right, and if you're feeling like giving up, it probably means that you don't have what it is that you want yet, right? You're working on it, and it may be tough. You may have fallen or failed multiple times, right? But if you give up, what do you get by giving up? The alternative is no better than where you are right now, but at least if you keep trying, there's hope for you. There's a possibility. So I don't understand why you would give up, because giving up doesn't give you or bring you anything. It doesn't, you don't have a chance if you give up. At least if you keep going, whether your possibility is small or not. Listen, they said I had a 91% chance of staying in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. That means I only had less than a 10% chance of making it. Less than 10%, right? So if I gave up, that 90% is going to prevail in my life. I'm going to fight for 9%. I'll fight for 8%. I'll fight for 1%, right? If that's what you want, if it's what you want, and if it's what you want bad enough, you'll fight for it. Giving up is not going to, there's no value in giving up. And that's what I would say. What is the value in giving up? I don't get that.
I love this. And you're such a great, amazing example of it, because, we talked about, Shane said, we're going to spring training. We go behind the scenes here in a couple weeks. obviously want everyone listening to come too. But one of the things we learned is about how these players became major league players. We never saw the struggles. I did because I worked with a lot of them, but there was a lot of struggles that they went through. Most people go, oh, well, they just had it easy. That's why they can do it and I can't. And so this opens their eyes to say, hey, even if you have struggles, if you don't give up, as you just said, but even more importantly, you bring it to a whole new meaning. I mean, it's one thing for these major league players or businesses that struggle and you find your way through to success. You had challenges that most of us would pray we never have to have, but you come out so strong. You've utilized that struggle to light up people. And I just admire you so much for that. And I'm inspired right now, as I say, just listen to you because, I go through my own struggles. I've got things, I'm going like, man, why didn't that person say yes? Why didn't that person say yes? How many more, no yeses can I take? Well, you know what? What's the alternative? I'm living on that word right there, brother. I'm living on that.
Yeah, I love that because, you think about the professional athletes Dave talks about, but even, the business people or the people trying to make it right now and they're struggling, they feel like giving up. Okay, say one of the professional athletes, they give up. Okay, well, then they just go to maybe a normal job or they go into business. They got something else. If you were to give up, you would just be in a wheelchair. You'd be right where you were. So you knew that you had, there was no alternative. You knew that there was a better way. But can I ask, how long was that time period that it took to get from maybe that news to the rehab process to finally being able to stand up and overcome that?
Well, it took 18 years to just get out of the wheelchair altogether.
18 years?
18 years. Yeah. And that was a progression. That didn't mean that one day I woke up 18 years later that I was able to walk. There were times where I could take steps, but I would get tired. I had to have the wheelchair, or I could take steps, but not independently. It was unsafe because I could fall, and I can walk all day now and there's very little risk of falling. But it took 18 years. And it's something else I want to go back to that you said about, the alternative. I was talking to my dad the other day. My dad and I talk all the time, as a matter of fact. But I was talking to him the other day, and we were talking about success and why people don't make it sometimes. And he was like, it's hard for some people. Everyone doesn't have what you have, right? That grit, to keep going. And I'm grateful for my accident because it has lit a fire under me. It has, created this mindset. And I want to say that, a lot of times it is because of the safety net that we have, because we have a backup plan. That's why some people will give up on their dream. They will give up on what they really want in life. And they will say, you know what? We'll make excuses. This isn't that bad. If I have to stick with this 9 to 5, instead of going off and being and doing what it is that you want to do and really putting the effort forward to do that, we'll settle for that. And a lot of people do that. And that's the reason why, because they have that fallback plan. But when you cut the bridge, when you don't have an alternative, when you burn the ships, if you will, you probably heard that story about burning the ships. They had to win the battle or else there was no way they were going to get back home, right? So when you burn the ship, when you burn the bridge and you have no other alternative, your attitude changes, right? It's not okay anymore, right? And that's the place I was. It wasn't okay with me to stay in a wheelchair. It wasn't okay with me to allow this to defeat me. It was either I win or I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to win, right? And so when you have that level of attitude about whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna accomplish some great things. You really are.
It's such a great way to put it because, when you have, I know there's a lot of people that want to have, a plan B, a plan C, plan D, just in case, kind of a safety net, right? It's so easy to take those options when you hit some struggle, you hit some resistance because, oh, well, it didn't work. It took you, Rodney, 18 years to get up and start walking and get, oh, man. it's just so inspiring. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. 18 years. That's like,
too, Shane. I can't believe it either, to be honest with you. I'm like, good Lord, 18 years, boy. How did you do that? 18 years. And that just lets me know, you guys talk about extreme focus. Now that I'm here, I've been walking around now for 7 years, and I really think about the level of focus that I was in. I mean, I was in a different zone for so long, focused on reaching that goal, right? And I've shifted to something else now. I mean, there's other things that I'm trying to accomplish in life. But I realized I was in that mode. I was in that mentality. I had a certain mentality during that time, and you couldn't shake me from it, And now when I look back, I realize that that's what it took in order for me to get there, and that's what I'm preaching. That's the game-changing mentality. That's what I'm writing. That's what I want to share with the world. The game-changer mentality. You have to have that.
I mean, you're a prime example of just ignoring reality in a good way. It's like, the odds were stacked against you. But it's like, I don't care about what the statistics say. I don't care about, I mean, there's so many, and in business, for somebody, the statistics are mind-numbing. It's like, 9 out of 10 businesses fail after the first 5 years. The 1 out of 10, 9 out of those 10 fail. I mean, the odds are stacked against maybe an entrepreneur trying to build up their business and an athlete trying to make it into the professional sports. I mean, geez, talk about those percentages. I think I was told in high school or elementary, you got like a 1% chance of college and then a 1% from there going to pro. And once you start getting into the odds and the percentages and all that stuff, I mean, it's just defeats you. It doesn't help you at all.
Well, I want to say something about those stats, because people that are listening to that for people that are listening to those stats and they hear that can be very discouraging, right? Mm-hmm. I want to say something to that, because I used to think that, right? And the doctors would tell me that after 5 years, most people with spinal cord injuries, the spinal cord stops healing. Like, don't expect any return after 5 years. And I want you to understand the heaviness of that statement, because it took me 18. Right. And so that's well beyond 5 years. So that was a lie. Right. So these stats that are out there that people quote and they talk about, they don't include people that have a game changer mindset. They don't include people that have extreme focus. Right. And so everyone they don't have the same mentality. They don't have the same level of grit. And so those individuals are included in those stats. And so they're a little skewed, if you ask me.
Well, hey, right? Rodney, what I wanted to say was, no, they're absolutely in the stats. You wouldn't have 1% if it wasn't for you or Shane. That percentage wouldn't be there. So those stats mean nothing to you. You decide that if there's 1%, okay,
I'm going to be that 1%.
You're the 1%. There'd be no 1% if it wasn't for guys like you. He did it in football. You did it in what you're doing. And if there's 1%, the stats are made up of those that go, 99. The stats are the 1%ers are going to go, I got a chance. Just like in the movie Dumb and Dumber.
I was gonna say Dumb and Dumber. You took it from me.
You're telling me, what's exactly. The chance of me? Me and
he says, what's the chances of a girl like me and a guy like you ending up together? And she's like, not good. He's like, just hit me with it straight. Is it something like, 1 in 100? She's like, more like 1 in a million. So you're saying there's a chance. That's you, man. That's us. There's a 1%. If there's a 0.1%, that means there's still a chance. If there's 17 seconds on the clock, there's a chance. There's still time on the clock.
I got to add one more thing to that, because I was back, 6 years ago, I was at the hospital, had a very severe blood clot. And the doctor said, man, this is just 1% chance that this would happen, that you didn't respond to the medication. So I was feeling pretty down. That night, didn't know, I was facing my Lord there at that moment, and they had me in intensive care. They had, people monitoring me, TV screen or whatever, people through the night. And I remember calling Shane. He was in Hawaii. And I was breaking up. When I first tried to tell them, because I wanted a message to my kids in case I didn't make it through the night. And I couldn't talk. I just couldn't talk. And I finally, luckily Shane was in Hawaii. It was about 3 hours behind us because it was the middle of the night for the other kids. And I couldn't really call them, but I wanted to leave them a message. But I couldn't bring myself to do it. And I finally, about 2 hours later, about 2 a.m. here, but it was 11 o'clock in Hawaii. I called Shane. I said, Shane, I don't know how it happened, man. It's only 1% chance that this happened. And, it happened. And Shane goes, awesome. Dad, you're a 1%er. I mean, I'm like, it was the 1% of bad things, but he just shifted it. Do you remember that, Shane? You shifted that moment. And I can't tell you the strength I had in that moment.
Absolutely.
I was like, damn, yeah. He goes, you go, Dad, you ain't going anywhere. You're a 1%er. So he shifted the chance of it all happening was a 1% chance to happen. So I took it as a pretty hard blow. But with that shift of mindset, I went, you're right. I'm a 1%er. I'm making it through this night.
Well, I'll say one thing about the whole 1% mindset and people, having that chance, that sliver of hope. I'll tell you one thing is it's not going to guarantee you're going to make it, right? We got so many things that could, factor into that, but having that hope, having that grit, having that is the only way you can accomplish that. There's no other way. You might still fail and you might learn from that failure. You will learn as long as you see it as a learning opportunity, but you're going to find a way when you have that grit as Rodney did. It might take 18 years, but if you were to quit at 17 years, can you imagine just like you wouldn't know that until you actually did it. But you could have easily quit at 17, at 10 years, at freaking 4 years.
Yeah.
But you kept
pushing through. But check this out. This is something I really firmly believe in. You're right. You might not make it. You have destination X. That's where you're trying to go. And you may not make it. But I really believe that quote from Les Brown that says, reach for the moon. And if you don't make it, at least you'll be among the stars. There's always progress and improvement in trying to achieve a goal. And yeah, you may not make it, but I can guarantee this. You will not be in the same place that you are or that you would be in if you're not pursuing the goal. Pursuing the goal gets you off top dead center. Pursuing the goal brings progress into your life. Pursuing the goal brings improvement into your life. Pursuing the goal brings self-development into your life. But if you don't do anything, then you can't expect anything. There is no return on giving up, right? But you will receive some level of return by just trying to pursue a certain goal. And I guess, for me, it would be better, right? Even if I didn't walk again, but if I was able to just be independent, but I'm still in a wheelchair, that was better than being paralyzed from the neck down, right? If I can hold a job independently and make my own money, that would be better than being paralyzed from the neck down and a vegetable for the rest of my life. But I wouldn't have experienced any of it if I wasn't pursuing walking again. And that goal and that dream was so big, and I was willing to give it everything that I had, and it was just benefiting me. It was bringing value. It was bringing improvement. It was bringing happiness and joy. It was bringing self-development. It was bringing so many things to my life, right? And that's what I really love. I think God is just so smart because he gives us desires in our hearts. And then we go and pursue those desires, not realizing the thing that it does to us. It's not just the goal that's at stake. It's the person you become as a result of the goal. It's the people that you help and inspire as a result of the goal. It's the difference that you make as a result of the goal. There's so many things that are affected because you have this goal, you have this dream, and you are pursuing it, right? And I just feel like that's a natural way of living, a natural way of life. You always should be pursuing something in your life because you are an expression of God, right? And the things that you produce is an expression of God, right? And so I just think if you're not doing that, you're not living your purpose. That's what we're here to do, right? To be that light, to be that expression. And sometimes resistance shows up, right? But we can't allow that to put our light out. We still have to let our light shine regardless, right? And so that's, to me, when you're doing that, you're on purpose and you're living. That's what life is all about.
Hey, man. I mean, I know I wouldn't have, my 2014 season, I had a huge goal of being the MVP of that league. in the AFL, and I was, a nobody at that point. And so that was a far-fetched goal. But because I had that big goal, I had to become something different. I had to dig deep, and I had to strive for something that I had never achieved before. And I didn't hit that goal. I ended up becoming a runner-up. But I know, like you were saying, you fall amongst the stars. I wouldn't have been even at that level if I didn't have that intention, if I didn't have that clear-cut goal and become. It's like, who do I have to become to have that? That might be over there, but I can't just have that. I can't just go and grab it. I have to become something totally different. So I may be totally different. I have to transform into something that can have that and to achieve that. A lot of times we go around life, saying like, well, once I have that, then I'll be somebody. Then I'll become something. It's so flipped, though. You got to be in order to do, in order to have.
That's game changer mentality right there, man.
I'm all about the game changer mentality, man. I love game changers.
Well, it's so funny because I love what you're talking about, because with Extreme Focus, our tagline, have you ever looked at our tagline? Be a game changer. We've had that for years. That's our tagline.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, just when you go to our website, it's been our tagline forever. Be a game changer. Wow. So it's really cool.
I didn't realize that.
I love it. And I love it where this discussion has gone. We didn't really even know where it went. I usually have a very structured plan around. I was like, with Rodney, let's just see where this goes, because when two or three or more are gathered, some brilliance can take shape. But I think it's time we get into the final four. And, this is the same 4 questions that we ask all of our guests. I love to get the different perspectives, and, we can dive into them a little bit here. So, Dave, would you like to start with question number 1?
Man, I got to say, this has really been lit me up. Thank you, Rodney. It really, and it was, a lot of times we do these things, because we want to, this is our gift to people out there to find the strength within them, whoever we have. But I say this is a huge gift to me today. So thank you, my friend. So question number 1, if you fail this, and there's no thank you. No. Question number 1, outside of your parents, we already know your mom and your dad, major influence.
Yeah.
Outside of them, who's someone comes to mind that really had a big impact on your life?
Man, there was so many people. I have to say there was a pastor that, at home that, she gave so much time and effort to me. She poured into me. She helped me with my faith walk and strengthened my belief in myself, my belief in my Lord and Savior. And that really made a big difference in me. It gave me something when my light was so dark and I felt like there was no way. She gave me something to really believe in, and it provided a lot of hope for me. Bob Proctor played a big part in me helping me understand, the power that I have inside and how to use it, and how, certain things that you put into your subconscious mind and how that affects you and bring about change in a good way or a bad way, and I mean, there's countless other people, there's not just one person. My mom always had, when I was growing up, preachers or ministers, she would buy these tapes and she would just play them all the time in the house. I mean, I got tired of listening to this stuff sometimes. But I realized that really helped develop me, spiritually and emotionally and even mentally as a person, especially in the face of adversity. And there was many of them, and a lot of like the T.D. Jakes, the Creflo Dollars, Miles Monroe, there were so many different people that I listened to at a young age that really made a difference in my life. So that's my answer to that.
Cool.
Awesome. I love it. All right. Number 2, if you could, what's one thing you'd tell your younger self?
Wow. I would tell my younger self that, there's more to life than football, and there's more that you can do. There's more people that you can help, serve, and make a difference for than football. Because before, after football, when I got hurt and I started coming out and I started to really understand that I had a greater gift than just playing football. I was really good at football, but there's more that I have now as a result of that. So I would tell my younger self to think a little bigger and think about helping people even more and think about how much you have to give and how you can develop yourself in order to give that, not just on the field, but even off the field, and helping people, not just entertain people, on the field, but helping people get over adversity. And I will tell myself to really study and get very familiar with who you are and practice the challenges, overcoming the challenges, and put together curriculums and strategies that you can give to people to help them overcome. That's what I would tell my younger self. So I could done this a lot sooner and without the struggle, the challenge, but it is what it is. But that's what I would tell my younger self now.
Well, I like, before you get into the third one, Dave, something that me and Rodney talked about a little bit earlier in the week, he just said it there, was like practicing overcoming those challenges or seeing it. We were talking about visualization and how most people, they just, if you even do visualization, great. But a lot of people do it to see, perfection, everything just going smoothly. And I used to lead visualizations. We call them game readies. And I used to do it that way, but it's so unrealistic. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be resistance. And if you can visualize overcoming those challenges, seeing those challenges, and then overcoming them, you're more prepared to handle them when they do show up. So
cool.
Can I add something to that too for the audience?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when adversity or challenges or resistance shows up, a lot of people feel like, here we go again. It's a bad thing, right? And I'm a kind of guy, I love challenges. I mean, I'm in a challenge right now, and sometimes it's kicking my butt, and then sometimes I'm like, how you can figure this out, But most people, they get upset when challenges come, and I have come to understand that those things are a part of life, and it's your attitude, it's the way you approach them that's going to make the difference. I think, Dave, you said it perfect. I don't want to get into your tip, but we were talking about how you view these things. You know what I mean? Your perspective about what's going on in your life can make or break you. And I really believe in harvesting the good, like smile, be grateful for where you are, because realizing that, I said it last week, I was at a speaking engagement. Without challenges, some people will never wake up. Right? Because it's the challenge that allows you to take a look inside to see, oh, okay, where is their growth? Where do I need to grow? What do I need to do? For some people, they start to strengthen their relationship with their maker, with their creator. They get more spiritual, right? So it's not all bad, because without some of these things, we won't become the people that we are. A lot of greatness has come because of resistance, because of a challenge, that has occurred. So, you have to look for the good in those things.
Shoot. Life is 10% of what happens to us, 90% of how we react to it.
There you go.
Our attitude, baby. All right, Dave, get us number 3.
All right. So question number 3, and doing pretty dang good on these first 2. So in the last 5 years, what would you say that's something you put into your life? We call them a winning habit. What's a winning habit that's really helped you? Or maybe what's a losing habit that you've been able to release?
Winning habit that has helped me is something that I call the critical 6. And that is, instead of waking up and planning my day, I plan my day before I go to bed. And I think of 6 things that must get done the following day. I don't wake up and plan. I'm going to tell you what I do when I wake up. But I do this before I go to bed. I have the critical 6 things that I have to do. And I stick to that. I don't end the day without those 6 things getting done. And I do it in order. And if for some reason I can't get all 6, then whatever's left, they go on for the next day. Okay. And I've developed that habit. And so when I wake up, I know what I'm going to do because I've done my critical 6. I make a declaration on who I'm going to be that day, And so I say, I'm going to be power and transformation, or I'm going to be greatness and success. I'm going to be service and love, whatever that is. And I say that to myself, and I get grounded in that, in who I am or what I intend to be that day. Right. And that's where I set myself. And then I go throughout that day being just that. And that has served me well.
Man, I love that.
Yeah, that's
solid winning habit.
Yeah,
it's actionable too. Anybody watching, man, start using the critical 6 in your life and see what happens, man. I love it, and I do that as well in the morning, setting kind of my intentions for the day. But I love that you bring, who am I going to be today? You kind of readdress that each day, not just like, who am I going to be in 2018, and then it can kind of drift off. it's every morning reminding yourself, who am I today? Because that's really all we got is today. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. We already know what happened yesterday. We can learn from it. But today, I can be somebody totally new. I can be something totally transformational. I have that hope. Anything can happen today. So I love that. Number 4, final question. What lesson from your journey so far will you always cherish?
Oh, wow. What lesson from my journey so far that I will always cherish? Well, I have to say, that it's not over until it's over, man. I think one of the things I marvel at as a major accomplishment is it's not the fact that I can walk again. It's the fact that I hung in there for so long and I had the endurance. And so, I didn't give up. And I think that's the difference between, for me, it's the difference between walking again or not. And so the lesson is to never, ever give up, to hang in there until the end, to keep fighting for what you want, regardless of what's going on, regardless of what the doctors say, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of what your environment says, to keep going, and that's something that I really hold my hat on, in business. Things don't always work out, and they haven't worked out for me, in business. And I was talking to my dad the other day. I'm like, I'm prepared for this because of what I've been through, right? I know it's not going to be easy. I know it's not going to work out, but I know that if I keep going, eventually I'm going to get a breakthrough. And so that's the lesson for me, is to keep on pushing, no matter how hard it gets, no matter what it is that you're dealing with. You just got to keep pushing through it, and eventually your time will come.
And that's what's so great about entrepreneurs and just that entrepreneurial journey is that you keep doing the right things, you keep pushing yourself, and you're going to have a ton of failures along the way. But the beauty part of it is all you need is one good thing. Really, one good thing can change everything for you. You hear of all these big time people that are successful. They had one game changing moment. Maybe they got some publicity. They were on Oprah or whatever. It's like that one moment. It's like up until then, it was just failure after failure, figuring it out. And then it's just like, do I quit? Do I keep going? And they just keep pushing through. And all you need is one break. One break can change everything.
Right. So I want to say something. I might be kind of jumping in on my tip of the day. Is that okay? And that is
another tip.
Yeah, well, no, just with what you said, you prepare yourself for that one moment. It's like the backup quarterback. You could give up, or you prepare yourself for your moment. All of a sudden, your moment comes, and you end up being the MVP of the Super Bowl. I mean, it doesn't happen by accident. Maybe it happened by accident that he got in. But the reason he did so well was his prep to be ready. So that's my tip of the day, is prepare yourself for greatness. Prepare yourself to be a game changer. And those moments, when they come, you'll be ready to step into them.
Isn't it funny? It seems like the hardest workers are the ones that get the most lucky. It's like, man, why do they get so lucky, man? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I truly believe that. You prepare to be lucky, and opportunities around us every single day. Most people are not prepared to even see it or to even act upon it. But when you prepare, you work your butt off, like Rodney's saying, you can act upon that opportunity, and it might appear lucky. Oh man, that person made $1 million overnight. No. That was 10 years in the making for that one moment. That was 10,000 hours of preparation for that one moment.
There it is.
I love it. I love the answers. I'm starting to really like these new Final Four questions, because they're bringing out some amazing answers. Rodney, you brought some. You blessed us today with your time and your wisdom and your story. Where can people find you so they can get a little bit more Rodney Flowers?
Well, you can find me on my website, rodneyflowers.com. And I love taking emails. If you want to talk to me, if you want some coaching or some mentoring, email me, rodney@rodneyflowers.com. You can also find me on all platforms of social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Just search Rodney Flowers, and you'll be able to find me there. So yeah, real easy to find.
Worship at the Get Up Guy, right?
At the Get Up Guy on Instagram.
On Instagram. Okay. That's the one I'm most of the time on anyway. So I love it. Well, hey, any final words before we we'll get into our closing statements, but anything before we officially say aloha?
I just want to say thanks for the opportunity, man. This has been awesome. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. And this has been very edifying for me, as a matter of fact. So,
Rodney, we want to see you in Scottsdale with us. We want you to be with us, baby. Find out and be with us.
I'll look into it, Dave. Definitely.
Awesome.
Well, we appreciate your time, man. Again,
we do. You were awesome. I'm
big mahalo.
I'm standing up. Go ahead.
Mahalo from us, and we'll wish you aloha. Give us a little shaka, and we'll send you out. All right, man. Take care.
All right, thanks, guys.
So I want to give us, we want to finish up with our little. I'll go with the quote of the week. And Dave, do you have another tip of the day since you already spoiled the beans there?
Yeah, I'll give another one, but I couldn't help it. It was so perfect in that moment.
It was perfect.
My moment.
It was perfect. But I gotta say, if you follow me on Instagram, the quote of the week is coming in. I love to call it the queek. And the queek this week is from Plato. The first and best victory is to conquer self. Man, that one goes deep. If you cannot master yourself, and we both agree, our greatest asset is our mind. But a lot of times our mind can get in our way. It can really hold us back from being truly great because of, it's that protection mode. We get in our comfort zone, all of that stuff. Sometimes we have to tell our minds to shut up a little bit. We're like, hey, I got this. Rodney said, hey, I got this. I don't care about the statistics. I don't care what they think I can do. I'm going to go and I'm going to conquer this. But he had to conquer himself first. He had to conquer his mind. And as I alluded to before, we're going to be having a webinar this Sunday and Tuesday. And we're going to dive deeper into, leveraging those strengths of our greatest asset. And it's going to be a free webinar, but we're going to give you 2 big tips that I tell you right now. If you apply them, they will change everything. One thing can change everything, right? So I'm going to add the link in here below here shortly, and you guys will be able to register for that. And again, it's just free. Come on, check it out. Start using these tips today. But that is the quote of the week.
I like it. And I do have another tip now.
Okay, Coach Dave with the tip of the day.
Tip of the day is get on the webinar. Do everything you can to know. I mean,
it's a self-serving tip. Again,
no, it's a free webinar. Come on. But it is true. When you have these moments, if you trust, hopefully you've seen us before or not, or some of the track record that we've been blessed to be able to have on people's lives. Your tip is do everything in your power to find things that light you up to get you to the next level. And I guarantee you, you'll get that. What's your investment? Your investment is taking the time. And Roger Anthony, who is my partner, and Shane, you feel the same way about him. One of the most greatest guys ever walked on this planet. I didn't understand it when he first said it, but I get it now. Get there fast by going slow. It means slow down and learn these things. Slow down and incorporate these things into your life. Don't let them just rush by. Don't just know it. Become it.
Amen. Love it. Well, I'll give you a couple things I'm currently listening to. I'm an audiobook junkie. I love books. I love podcasts, all that stuff. One I just started right now, Extreme Ownership by Jocko. Man, what is his last name?
He's Jocko.
Navy SEALs. Yeah. Extreme Ownership. It's all about leadership, taking responsibility. It's great. It's a good start, at least. Can't endorse it yet. Some podcasts I'm listening to right now. Really into Tim Ferriss's show, the Tim Ferriss Show. He's got some great guests and some great questions. But yeah, if you guys have any books, any podcasts that you guys are listening to, shoot it to us in the comments. We'd love to hear things that you guys are listening to because we all love to educate. We're never done learning. We're always striving to be greater, to soak in more knowledge, and to continue to grow together. So. That's it. Another great show, Dave.
Awesome. The last thing I say, if you just turned in late, because I know people come and go, these are recorded. Go through. Rodney is a man really worth listening to. I tell you, it's what I needed today. It really did. It struck a chord in me. So take the time, get there fast by going slow. Keep doing things that are going to lift you to a higher ground.
Amen. Amen. Well, thanks for tuning in. As always, start your week strong with Dave's Facebook Lives at the beginning of the week to get you game ready. And then finish your week with us with a Mai Tai on Aloha Fridays. And reach out and explore our Beast training programs and join our Beast family where you can connect with like-minded high achievers, game changers like yourself, like Rodney, like me and Dave. Not as much on Dave, but more so me. But anyways, this is Shane and Dave Austin signing out.
See you on Sunday at our webinar.
Yes. See you on a Sunday, maybe even Tuesday, and definitely on Friday, on Aloha Friday, where greatness is made casual. Aloha.
Aloha.